Welcome back to this very special edition of Garden City Planning for a Better Tomorrow. I am Dan York, and obviously we are not in Garden City. We're in Henderson, Nevada, which is a suburb of Las Vegas, with former mayor of Garden City, Vince Fordell, and it is a thrill to see you, sir.
Dan, it's my pleasure, really.
Now let's review a little bit. You've been out here in Las Vegas for how long?
Going on 13 years.
Okay, so quite a long time.
Yeah, retired from the city and from my other profession.
Which was?
Back in 1990. I was community relations manager for Michigan Bell,
okay, which
is now Ameritech, which is now SBC.
SBC, yeah.
So
the big monster gets big again.
Change begets change. That's for sure.
Now, you were mayor in Garden City from 1979 to 1989?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Five terms. All of them very exciting, and had a heck of a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we really did. All the with the community working the way it did at that time to make things better, it made it a lot of fun for myself and our council and all of the administrators. So
sure.
It was a blast.
Sure. Now tell me a little bit about your 13 years here in Las Vegas.
Well, fun and relaxation. The weather, as you can tell, very, very nice. Blue skies most of the time, and actually, it's been great for my wife and I from the standpoint of just getting older with the fresh air and the sunshine and the warm weather. It's kept us young.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we enjoy it very, very much.
How did you pick Las Vegas when you decided to leave Michigan?
Oh golly, that was a process, Dan. Really, we had been vacationing, many years down in Florida, and with the kids. Well, when they all grew up and moved away, she and I got a little tired of the beach scene, so we tried other communities in Arizona and New Mexico, and we tried Denver, and they were too much, they were not our style.
Sure.
So we had always, kind of had adult vacations out here in Vegas, and we figured, well, why not? Let's try it. So we liked it when we got out here, and we stayed, and see an awful lot of folks out here that come in from Garden City
sure.
or the Wayne County area and stop in and visit or call, and we enjoy every stop.
The landscape has really changed here, though, in Las Vegas in the 13 years that you've been here.
Yeah. When we moved here, I think in Vegas proper, which is really a small town within the valley, there were probably 150,000 people. Las Vegas itself now is over 1 million. The valley is almost 3 million.
So that's almost as big as the Detroit area now.
Almost as big, but the valley is quite a big metropolitan area, though it really is, including the Henderson area here and North Las Vegas and all the other communities that surround Las Vegas proper. So.
Yeah.
But it's been fun, and just to watch the growth, meet a lot of people, get involved. Lots of restaurants,
As we talked about.
Yeah, and a lot of good shows to see. And they treat the local people, that's what they call us out here, locals. Not used to that, but the casinos and the shops and so on, they really cater to their people that live here, and they try to help. So all in all, it's a really great atmosphere. We enjoy it,
Now the city of Garden City is celebrating its 70th anniversary this year, which I don't even think I told you that. My business and my start in this business is celebrating my 20th anniversary, and I actually owe.
I remember the day you started.
I owe a lot of that to this man, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to look you up. Anyways, I would have looked you up under any circumstances, but it's a thrill to me, having been in television or broadcast or whatever it is I do for a living for the past 20 years, and really you helped give me my start. You really pushed to get me in with the city and to make what I do happen 20 years ago, and you saw a vision there of something we could do with cable television.
Right. What I saw in you has materialized. A lot of potential, and just a really good guy.
Well, I appreciate that, sir.
And I wanted you where we put you at that time, and you did a lot to help the development and getting the information out in Garden City, and that was big. That was important because there were a lot of issues at that time that the city had to deal with that were totally new. There were a whole new bevy of concepts coming down the line: DEA, new master plan, new charter, city manager, All of these concepts were totally new to the community, and we had to let them know somehow. So you were a big help.
Well, not everybody was in Garden City that's there now was there 20 years ago or 25 years ago. Explain the changes that took place that got you involved in politics, because you were a part of a major change that occurred in the charter of our city and the way it's managed.
Yeah, well, that just wasn't me. An awful lot of good people that were involved in the Charter Commission, and which was an elected process. You know, they not only the voters chose to get a commission going to study the charter issue, and then they voted for each member. And quite frankly, it was an excellent group that we had to work with. Some of the names that were on there, you know, the Markowitzes and the Kiesels and so on, Haydens, all people that were totally committed to the city, and they wanted to do right by things. So after many months of study, we put together a charter issue for the voters to decide on, and by a very narrow margin, the Charter Commission issue was passed by the community, and then we had to get it going. Mm-hmm. Well, so at that point, I kind of dropped back out of politics for a while, and then the mayor at that time, Sam Pappas, a good friend of mine, called and asked that if I wouldn't mind serving on the Planning Commission, which I did. And we had a lot of fun with that, and particularly in working toward getting a new master plan for the community put together, which included a downtown redevelopment, the DDA, all these other concepts that came into play. They were totally new to all of us, but we wanted to do it. We had many months of aggravation trying to get things going. The big project at the time was the parking lot behind, what was the old corner drugstore there?
Minder's Drugs,
Minder's
right?
Drugs.
Which is now Andrew's Drugs.
Right. And the Kmart store next to it. So we had to end up getting that redeveloped. That was project number one. And then getting the folks that ran the stores in that corner to do something with their facades. The tree planting projects that the chamber was so helpful with, getting that thing done. So it all in all led me to a point where it was just natural to run for mayor and make sure it all happened the way that we visioned it.
Sure.
At that point. But I had an excellent community to work with, and I know that the folks back there, even though they may not all be the same folks, basically you want your community to look nice, to protect your investment, which is your home, it's your major investment. And the best way to do it is get involved with the community and get things done. So.
Now let's go take one step back.
Shoot.
Prior to the form of government that we have now, which is a city manager with
right.
a mayor and council, explain how the city was governed prior to that, because it's fairly unique now. I don't think too many communities are run that way now.
Right. It's probably a good concept for very, very small communities that get a chance to only meet maybe once or twice a year, But it was what they called a weak mayor, weak council form of government. And in essence, nobody was the boss. The department heads and the council got together, put a budget together, and essentially did their own thing. So there was really no control.
So each department head ran their department with autonomy, essentially.
Exactly. And nothing bad about that, except that nobody really knew what was happening. The left hand and the right hand weren't together. So we investigated the city manager concept. The full-time city manager form of government with a council led by a mayor and 6 council people was appealed to us, because then you could get community involvement, community direction, and working with a professional manager. And to me, that was the way to go. Now someday, if Garden City ever decides, they could take a look at it again, and probably should. They should review it every so often.
That's really the most common form of government in our area of the state, at least.
It's the most practical form of government. oddly enough, it's probably the least expensive form of government because in essence, you get an awful lot of value when you have a good city manager and a good staff that he
Sure.
or she assembles, and you get your dollar's worth. It's a good deal.
Now go back and explain how you ended up in Garden City in the first place.
Oh boy. Well, my wife and I, when we were married way back in 1951.
We're being attacked by the trees here.
Yeah. A nice windy, blustery day here.
All the way down to 90. The wind chill is just tough to deal with.
Forgot my sweater. Anyway, as a family, we decided that once we had our second child, this was back in '55, that we were looking for a place that had good schools, and it was a new community, a young community, a growing community, which Garden City was at that time. And a good friend of our family, my family, was building homes out there, a fellow named John Usness. And he put together a development over there around the Henry Ruff School. And we liked what we saw, we bought. And some 37 years later, as it goes, we finally we ended up leaving.
Sure.
But we loved every minute in Garden City. And I always felt very strongly that they gave me so much when we were growing up as a family that I had to give something back to the community. And public service was, I thought, the one way to do it. So.
Talk to me a little bit about your overall memories of Garden City, not just the politics, but of your entire time there. And some of the changes you saw from the mid-'50s to the time you left in the late '80s.
Well, I think it all centered around the people taking care of the streets, taking care of their homes. And, you know, there were an awful lot of dirt roads out there when I first moved in the 50s. And it was still a little country community in a way. It had some stores downtown on the corner, Middle Belt and Ford Road. And but everybody left town to go shopping. You know, it didn't make a lot of sense. And Kmart finally came in, and that was a big deal. We had a couple supermarkets at that time, but they soon left, you know, because there were bigger shopping centers around the town, Westland and so on. So, you know, things were just starting to pull together. But over the years, I think the things that really helped Garden City develop were a growing school district, a lot of young people coming into town with young families. There was a lot of community involvement with recreation programs. I remember playing, you know, taking my son to baseball games, his baseball games in the afternoon, and then at night I'd play baseball with the neighborhood group.
Sure.
So, you know, it was a lot of fun. And so people grew up together in that community. And it just evolved from there. I think it's just one of those things that we were all in the right place at the right time to make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to tell you, after doing this for 20 years, you're still the easiest interview I've ever had.
Oh, God.
As easy as it was 15 years ago. Vince and his wife Carol were nice enough to concede to let us come visit on what we found out was their 52nd wedding anniversary.
Yep.
So I want to wish you a happy anniversary.
Well, thank you, sir.
It's just phenomenal to see you. I'm I'm thrilled to death to see you, and I'm.
Yeah, the thrill is mine because I just remember you as a young guy coming in the office and like, what can I do?
How do I do it, and what can I do, and where do I go? I didn't have
a
clue what to do, and this man was really instrumental in helping me get started in a career path that I thought I wanted to go down, but I wasn't quite sure at the time.
And you've been very successful ever since, and I'm glad to see it. Very happy for you.
I appreciate everything you've done. Your family, update everybody that knows you and where your family are, where your kids are all at, and your grandkids and everything else.
Well, we're up to 10 grandchildren now, and Jeff and his family of 4 live out in Plymouth area, Canton, and Pam and Paul and their family live in Wheaton, Illinois, and our youngest son, Jim, a lot of people probably remember him. He was involved with us in politics.
Sure.
And running from door to door. He and his family live up in East Lansing area. Everybody's fine. We were just up there to see a new grandbaby and see a couple of the boys graduate, one from college, one from high school. So we had a good time. Yeah,
I'm glad to hear it.
Everybody is fine and fiddle. And so any of their friends that were looking or wanted to hear anything about them, give them a buzz. They'd be glad to hear from them.
That's where they are, huh? Well, Vince, again, I want to thank you. Hey, this has been great.
Dan, my pleasure, really.
All right, happy anniversary to you and Carol.
Thank you very much. Come again.
We will wrap up this tremendously special edition of Planning for a Better Tomorrow from Las Vegas, Nevada. That's where we are right after you watch this.